Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for Awkward Season 4, Episode 2, and this episode was called Listen to This. And, this episode, before I started, it was directed by Ashley Rickards, who, of course, is the main star of the show, and, she did a great, direct job in this episode, I must say. I was really looking forward to it. This episode, though, massive improvement over last week. It was not so much that last week was bad, it was just definitely not the best episode of Awkward I've seen. This episode, however, oh my god, it was amazing. I mean, it was so good. Really dramatic episode. A lot of things happened in this episode, but I really like where we're going with this show. There's a lot of really interesting things going on. I really love that about tonight's episode, and I loved everything about tonight's episode. Personally, I thought it was just a great episode. Let's just get to it, though. So, for most of this episode, the reason it's called Listen to This is because, I'll get to it, but there's a big reason why this episode is called Listen to This. Basically, we see that Jenna is helping Jake with his music video, and she confesses to Tamera that her and Matty slept together, and Tamera's saying, oh no, this is a horrible idea, he's going to, do the same thing he did to you sophomore year, and she said, are you going to DTR? And Jenna says, oh, we don't have to do that, we're just seniors, it doesn't matter, and, Tamera and her are having a very mature discussion about this, but she's trying to talk to Matty and everything, and, Jenna ends up getting hit in the, hit in the mouth with this, I think it was like a cork of some sort or something like that, but she gets hit in the mouth, loses a tooth, and, that's not good, obviously. So, Valerie tells her, remember how Valerie was telling her to take all those different extracurricular activities to help her college scholarships? Well, she tells her to possibly try out peer counseling because that's something she thinks she'd be good at, and definitely that is something that Jenna would be good at. However, what ends up happening is her mother sees that she has this hole, in her tooth, in her tooth, so she has to go to the dentist and everything, and her and Tamera, are talking and everything about what's going on, and Tamera says, it's definitely not a good idea, and everything, and all Matty says to Jenna is, good luck at the dentist, and Tamera says that's not something that, someone usually says, when they're friends. That's something that, I thought that was pretty funny. But for most of this episode, Jenna cannot talk, because not only does she, have to go to the dentist because of that, but her mother decided that she'd get her wisdom teeth taken out too, because she just, as she said, get it done. So for most of the episode, Jenna cannot talk. She just has a board to talk, and I actually thought this was really well done, because we kind of got to hear, we always hear Jenna's thoughts, so especially in this episode, we got to hear a lot of what Jenna was thinking, and more of what's going on with people around her. I thought it was really cool the way they did that in this episode, and I understand why they did that, because obviously, Ashley Rickards was, as I said, directing the episode, and, she just didn't have the time to, she probably, didn't have as much time for dialogue and things like that, so I really enjoyed that about this episode, and I thought that was pretty cool the way they did that. So, she's in the peer counseling and everything, and she can't talk to anyone, so, that kind of sucks for her, so she can't talk to anyone, but in the meantime, Matty is ignoring her, he's not talking to her, and, she wants to talk to him and everything, but before this, the really interesting thing is that we saw this scene, between, Matty and Valerie, and Valerie's asking Matty, what do you want to do after high school, and he says, I want to stay as far away from this school as possible, and, honestly, I didn't know what to think of that. I didn't know what was going on. I was thinking, Matty was getting bad grades or something like that, but, definitely, I was really interested in seeing where that was going to go, because that was kind of just what? I don't really understand what's going on there. So yeah, that was definitely really interesting. So basically, as I said, Jenna's getting very upset. She kind of feels like sleeping with Matty was a huge mistake, because she thinks it was a huge mistake, basically because not only was it a huge mistake, but she feels like now it's sophomore year again for her. He's completely ignoring her. And she's trying to text him saying, hey, we need to talk and everything. And all he responds to her is K. And basically, she talks to, who's she talk to? Oh, she talks to Eva about this, and I actually really liked Eva's character in this episode. I enjoyed her character more, in this one. Oh, by the way, Jenna has to, I liked Eva's character more because it seems like she's going to be a friend to everyone. She helped Jenna in this episode. She helped, Sadie with something. Well, when we get to Sadie's part, I'll explain that. But she tells Jenna that, Kay basically is not a good thing, and that kind of mean, and she thinks that's kind of rude. So, Jenna gets really upset with Matty, not really knowing what's going on. She's thinking that Matty doesn't give a shit about her, basically, and is just treating this as a very casual thing, and she kind of is getting very worried about this thing, that there's definitely something wrong with her. So she gets really worried. So she goes over to, so Lacey is she's finally able to talk again. She takes the stuff out of her mouth, the stuff that couldn't make her talk, and, she couldn't talk for 24 hours. That's what the doctor said. He said, don't talk for 24 hours, and, I thought it was funny when she came up to Tamera and said, yeah, I could not talk for 24 hours. Actually, I'd like to see that, actually. I thought that'd be funny. Have an episode where Tamera does not talk. Is that possible? I don't know. But Jenna finally confesses to Lacey that her and Matty slept together, and, Lacey, doesn't know how to respond to this. She says it was a bad idea and everything. And, I don't remember exactly how Lacey responded, but she confesses to her. And then, since Jenna's able to talk again, also, the other thing is, with the peer counseling, Valerie actually Jenna's actually gonna do it now, with Valerie, because Valerie thinks she's so good at it, so she's gonna have her continue to do it, so that's gonna be funny to see. But because of, her being able to talk again, she decides to talk to Matty. And she basically says, what's going on between us? I need an answer. And he's not responding to her. He says, it's nothing that has to do with you. And she thinks that it's complete bullshit. She thinks it's all her fault. And she's like, Matty, do not do this to me. You are not doing what you did in sophomore year to me again. I will not let you do this. And he tells her, it has nothing to do with you. And he tells her, I just found out I'm adopted. I just found out today, and that's why I've been ignoring you. So, that's huge, personally. I don't know what's going to happen now between, Matty and Jenna. It seems like Matty was pretty pissed at Jenna, because he's basically thinking that, can you be a bit more reasonable about this? And basically, Jenna she didn't really think about other reasons why he could have been upset. And I think the thing is, Jenna knows, that she's gone through this before, and I definitely thought that was interesting. What I do like, though, is that we are seeing that Jenna is focusing less on her relationship status with Matty, yet she still does love Matty. She did tell Tamera she doesn't care about the relationship status. She just wants them to be able to talk like friends. That's all she wants. She wants to be simply friends with Matty. She doesn't necessarily need a relationship or anything. She just wants to be friends with him. She wants to be able to talk to him at least. And, I think I felt bad for Jenna, definitely, because that really was her fault. Personally, it wasn't necessarily her fault. If she wouldn't have talked to Matty, no, that would not have happened, but still, it wasn't necessarily her fault. So that was definitely really interesting. Also, there was a very interesting conversation with Matty and Jake in the episode, where Jake was talking to Matty about, hey, you want to get a band together? So, is Matty kind of not knowing where he wants to go? I don't know what's going on. I feel like we're going to focus more on Matty, though, this season. I feel like that's what's going to happen. And I actually like to see more of Matty's personal life and things like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. But let's get to our second plot, which had to do with Tamara and Jake. Really interesting there. The episode started off with us seeing Jake directing a music video, and Tamera does not like this music video. She doesn't like his music, and Jenna starts to talk to Tamera and says that maybe it's not necessarily that you're over Jake's music, maybe you're just getting over Jake. And Tamera says, oh, no, I love him and everything. It has nothing to do with that. And the whole time she's denying it. And eventually what happens is, Jake comes out with this song that she actually really, really likes. And she says, oh, this song was really good. I was completely wrong. I actually really enjoyed this song. But what happens is that after, she goes up to Jake, what she's saying to him, he says, this does not sound like you enjoyed it. It sounds like an insult to my song. And basically he says, just tell me you didn't like it and it'll be fine. And, she says that I enjoyed the song and everything. And he tells her, if you're not going to be supportive, and he basically tells her, I think we should break up. And that was very surprising. I didn't think they would break up this early in the season, but I could kind of see why. I mean, you could definitely see, like, in the last episode, now I understand the whole orgasm plot, because that's showing that they're not their sex life isn't good. This episode showed that their love life isn't good. So they just broke up, and they broke up in the episode. So, that was definitely really interesting. And, I'm wondering, what's gonna happen between them. I feel like there's gonna be a lot of tension between them now. And really, this time, it is Tamera's fault. It was Tamera's fault last time when they broke up, but this time, it is really Tamera's fault. She's really screwed up this time, and I feel like this time, it's definitely going to take a while for her to get back together with, Jake, because he was really upset by this. This is what he wants to do, he wants to be part of this music business. His music, music is what matters to him. This is what he wants to do in his future, and if she can't support that, then why should he be with her? I do understand where Jake was coming from, and I like that everyone has always said, we don't get to see a lot of Jake's personal life. Now, we're starting to see more of what Jake wants to do, and I really love, that we're learning more about what Jake wants to do with his music career, and I just thought that was great that we saw that. Third plot in this episode, though, had to do with Sadie, and yes, we did continue the whole Sadie thing. It seems like things are better now with Sadie, but not in the beginning of the episode. In the beginning of the episode, we see that, Sadie has to go somewhere, and, Lyssa's talking to her and everything, and, Lyssa's saying, are we friends? And Sadie says, oh, no, we're not friends, ever since you kicked me off ever since you took that spot off of me, and, in cheerleading, I'm not friends with you anymore, I don't want anything to do with you, and, she just wants nothing to do with her. So, Lyssa's pretty pissed at her at this point, and, Sadie starts to think that Jenna is telling people about the food truck, because, Eva sort of is talking to Sadie about how she has a bad life and things like that, and Sadie starts to think, oh, is Jenna telling people? So she completely flips out on Jenna, saying, who'd you tell about the food truck? Was it, Jake, Tamera, Matty, who was it? And she said, I didn't tell anyone, and, Jenna's completely high. This is one of those scenes where Jenna can't talk, and she's completely high on drugs at this point, because she has to keep putting this stuff in her mouth that's like a drug. She has to keep taking it because it's going to help her mouth, basically. So she's completely high at this point, touching Sadie's bun on her head, and Lyssa kind of thinks that, Jenna's replacing Lyssa as Sadie's best friend. So Lyssa gets jealous of Jenna, and Sadie said, oh no, it's not what it looks like, don't worry about it. And she's upset and everything about that. And in the end, Sadie does admit to Lyssa the truth. I was happy she admitted that to her, but she does ask Lyssa for her spot back, and I don't know if Lyssa's going to give it to her, but the really funny thing was when they were talking, they sounded like a lesbian couple. I thought that was pretty funny, actually, that's what, I just thought that was really funny. But yeah, overall, this episode was it was a lot better than the last episode, and I just thought it was just a really, really good episode overall. I loved everything about it. It was a really, really good episode, and everything about it was really, really well done. A lot of things were revealed in this episode, as I said, especially the thing with Matty being adopted. I don't know where this is going to go. I feel like we're going to see more of Matty's personal life now, and more of what his life is like at home. I'd love to see that, actually. I think it'd be really, as I said, I think it'd be really good. And again, Matty is definitely one of my favorite characters on this show, and now this has just made him completely more vulnerable, and I think it's really cool. Also, is Matty struggling with what he wants to do after, in school? Because he told Jake, Jake was talking about starting that band. Will Matty and Jake start that band? I don't know. What's going to happen between Jake and Tamera now? I have a feeling like it's going to take a while for them to get back together, because definitely this was something that Jake really cared about. The last one was about school presidency, which isn't as important as his future, which of course Jake really cares about, because that's his future. That's what he wants to do. I'm interested in seeing where that's going to go. And also, what's going to happen between Sadie and Jenna, what's going to happen there. Are more people going to find out about the food truck thing? It seems, a lot of people know about it now, but not everybody knows about it, so I'm hoping that Sadie does find a way to fix it and, not be broke anymore and things like that, because I feel like Lyssa and Jenna are going to end up helping her. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen. Again, Ashley, regards, let me just say that you did an amazing job directing this episode. I know you didn't have too much to do, and I think that was good that they didn't give Jenna, any, that she didn't give herself any dialogue in the episode, because it just gave her more time to direct it really well. We got a lot more of everybody's personal life, and really this episode, as I said, focused on everyone. We got a little bit of what Jenna's doing, we got a little bit of what, Tamera's doing, we got a lot more of what Jake wants to do in his future, more what's going on with Matty and his personal life, Sadie, Lissa, various other people. I thought that was just really well done the way they did that, and I love that about this episode. But again, great episode, loved it, a lot better than last week's overall. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. That's it for my review. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for the originals. So, see you then. Yeah, so I'll see you guys for my, the originals and Fargo. I don't know which one's gonna come first, but see you guys for my review of that. Okay, bye.